Hey, what's up? It's Mark. Hey, what's up? It's Mark from Alchemist Camp, and it's the weekend, so I'm going to work some more on the Streak app. So I've got some interesting, I think fairly interesting stuff to do with it. First part is actually it's going to be mostly database today. I've thought a little bit about the design. I'm probably just going to make like a Flexbox nav bar and um, keep a keep a few more links in the top, like maybe something about what the streaks are. I think I'm actually going to launch this app, like just put it up there as a free thing for people to check out. Maybe put it on Product Hunt at some point. But I was initially just going to use it for myself, but a couple of my friends are interested, so that's given me more motivation. So if more than one person's using it, then maybe I can see what the popular goals that lots of people using the app are working on instead of it being, just whatever I've got. But I think each person's homepage is still going to show their streaks on each goal. And right now, I've just got just the default Phoenix generated HTML. So to add a streak, I'm going to um, the base directory slash, or sorry, to add a status update. I go to the base directory slash statuses slash new, and then enter this old school looking HTML form. But I want to make it so that any of these streaks that you see here on your main page, you can just click like, yes, I did it, or no, I didn't. And these will appear anytime you haven't entered your status for that day. And then maybe a button here to add a new streak, just have like to add a new goal, just have a little inline form pop up. You put in the name of the goal, and then you start counting for it. Then if you click on any of these goals, then maybe we should have a history page where you can see what you did, what your status for it was each of the past several days, and then button to go to previous. And it's not going to be this weird off yellow brown. I just picked this color so that it's clear to me that I'm going to pick an actual color later. But what I'm going to change now is actually the database setup. So the way the app is at the moment is, let's see, is that too small? Let me like to make this about 38 high if I can. Yeah, 37 lines. That's readable and still gives me enough space to work on it. So yeah, what I need to change first here is right now the goals have a streak field on them, which is just an integer, and I'm doing the calculations for that in the context module. So I've got this increment streak, give it a goal, and then we just increment the streak count by 1. Then I've got a reset 1, and my plan was, we've got some goal that we're working on, like say your goal is to work out every day, and I would look at your update for today, and if it's false, then I'd set the streak to 0. And if it's true, I'd see what the streak was and increment it by 1, as I just did in that logic. Problem with this is it's kind of fragile, and it's pretty possible, like if there's any bug anytime, it's possible that the streak count in the goal could diverge from the actual streak. And also, like, how are we gonna calculate how long the streak is? Like, would we have some one-time function to run to like recalculate for each user? Then what if they've had like thousands of status updates? Like that could take a long time. So instead of all of this, I'm going to take advantage of a pretty neat thing you can do with Ecto. So these Ecto schemas we have here, these are connected to database tables. So the goals here is basically a carbon copy of what we see in the goals migration. Uh, Goals, let's fingers off by one, migration. So we see the same fields: is active, streak, title, is active, streak, title, has many statuses. That's because in the status table, there's a goal ID, which we can see by looking at the migration next to the one that I just pulled up, which I guess is already closed. So migration, create statuses, goal ID. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new database view, not a table, but just a view that looks at the data in the statuses related to a specific goal, and then create an ecto schema to work with that as if it were just a normal table, even though it's not. And the SQL query to do that was a little bit hairy. I started on it last night, actually, a stream that I threw away because I was super tired and there were a lot of um, not super helpful detours. So what I'm going to do now is just create that and show you how it works. So we'll mix ecto.migrate, or no, mix ecto.gen migration. And this one will be create streak view. This view is a database view, not a Phoenix view. Then open it up and let me get out of insert mode. Okay, that's fine. And paste in the SQL I wrote. So there's just a little bit too much to fit in the screen. So instead of being a create, I defined a separate up and down. The down is very simple. This just drops the view. This execute here means execute plain SQL. So the other migrations are a lot easier to understand because this is just using ecto macros that add things to the table. This one, unfortunately, as far as I know, there's no way to create a view with ecto's DSL, or if there is, I don't know what it is. So I'm just executing this big hunk of SQL directly, and that's how we create the view. But once it's created, Ecto can hook into it. So let's go over how this works. So create view called streaks. So this will be a thing that we can interact with as if it were a database table, but it's not actually a table. It's just looking at other data in the database. So with is we use that to make a subquery. So with start streak as, and then I'm selecting the date and the goal ID from the statuses. Status is right here. So they have a date, a goal ID, and an is complete Boolean. Say like if you actually did your workout or if you actually washed the dishes or whatever your daily goal was. And then case when, actually gonna have to make this wrap. Statuses.date minus lag statuses.date. So this lag function is it's a way to look at the previous row in a table. So we're comparing the current status row with the previous one. This one means one before. And over partition by statuses.goalID, order by statuses.date. So we're ordering all the statuses. So we'll have the status from today, the one from yesterday, the one from the day before. Maybe there wasn't one from yesterday, though. Maybe we just have one from today, then the one from 2 days ago. So we're comparing the difference in the date of one entry and the next entry after it. So case when goes with the then and else. So we're using this to determine when a streak starts from statuses. And then finally, this where is a filter on all the statuses that we're even looking at here. So this is only going to look at the complete statuses. So if I have an entry from today where I did stream, I did get on Twitch and stream, and then from yesterday I have an entry saying I didn't, then 2 days ago I did, this is going to skip the entry from yesterday where I said it wasn't complete. Then similar logic here to group the streaks, and we're grouping them by the same goal ID. Like it doesn't matter if I've accomplished one goal today and then a different one yesterday. That's not a streak unless it's the same goal ID. Ordering by date, and then finally we're selecting goal ID. So this status is going to belong, or this streak is going to belong to a goal, just like statuses will. And then min date is going to be start, max date is going to be end, and then max date minus min date plus 1 is a length. So if we started today and we ended today, it would be length 1. And that's pretty much it. So this is going to, from Phoenix's point of view, it's going to look like a thing that just has a goal ID, a start, an end, and a length. So once this is run, then life gets much easier. So mix ecto.migrate, and it looks like all is good, but let's see if we can query it from IEX. So IEX-s mix phoenix.server, start up the server, and I think we will query for let's see here. Let's list the goals first. So core.list goals. Well, let me check my IEX.exs. I'm going to need to import ecto.query. We're going to be doing queries from IEX. So let me stop and restart that. Okay, so let's look at these goals I just queried. So goal number 1, which is workout, has a bunch of reports. So it says I did on the 7th, I did on the 8th, have yes on the 3rd, missing some days in between, I believe. So that should be a good one to check. So we'll make a query. Say query equals from G in goal. We'll inner join on S in. Now there's no ecto schema for streaks right now, so we'll just use the quoted name of the table, in this case, name of the view. So inner join on S in streaks, where s.goal ID equals g.id. So basically join it on the goal ID, and then we'll select. Let's select basically everything. So we'll get the streak start, streak end, and the streak length. And repo.query. Repo.query query. That's not what I expected. How about if I just do an even simpler query? What if I just do query equals from s in streaks? Oh, wait, repo query runs SQL. I should have done repo.all. Okay, good, good. Everything is fine. So we have 4 streaks for working out. So one of them is length 4, and that goes from the 5th of November to the 8th. Then one was 2 days, just from the 6th to the 7th. Oh, actually, wait. Those might be different goals. So let's change our query, and we'll still get from G in goal, and we'll still interjoin S in streaks, where basically join it on the ID, but let's also get the goal title and run that. Okay, we do have two different streaks for working out, and they don't overlap. So single day on the 3rd, then 4 days from the 5th to the 8th. Get out of bed. It's only 2 days in a row, and study for an hour, also 2 days in a row. So that looks pretty good. We can use this logic here to query. Now, what's going to make it even easier is if we make an ecto schema, so that we can just instead of using the table name / view name syntax, we can just alias it like we do anything else. So let's have a look at our goal again. And we'll create a new file in the same directory called streak.ex. And this is going to look just about like a normal ecto schema. So this module is going to be unbreakable.core.streak. And just like the others, we'll use ecto.schema. We don't need ecto.changeSet because I'm not going to make any change sets. And I'll alias, which, let's see, streak has a goal ID. We're going to reference goal. So the unbreakable.core.goal. And we'll make our new schema. So this schema does not have a primary key. And that's because it's just a view. It's not a normal schema. And then our schema for streaks is what's field is okay. So field start, and that's going to be of type date. And then we'll have an end field, which is also a date. And then we'll have a field for length, which is an integer, and default to 0. Then finally, we have that goal ID down here. But instead of just exposing it as goal ID, we'll use an ecto relation. So we'll say this belongs to goal, and actually name of the association is goal, and the queryable is goal. And then while we're at it, we can go to the goal schema, and we're not going to use we're referring to this in some places of the app, but we're not really going to use that much longer. Actually, I think I can just comment it out here. We'll say has many streaks, and that's going to be unbreak. You know what? Let's alias this. alias unbreakable.core.status as well as unbreakable.core.streak, like so. And then we can just say status and streak like that. And let's switch the order. Just make it alphabetical. Okay, so goals now have many statuses, many streaks. Let's see if we can recompile this. And it looks like we've got it. So streak. Okay, let's do a query with streaks. So now our query will be from s in streak. Actually, we can just do this. We can just do repo.all streak. And boom, we get it just as if it were a normal table in our database. Length 4, and we can work with this same way we would have anything else. Similarly, we can preload. So we can, let's get a goal here. Goal 1 is core.get goal 1. And let's get a whole bunch of statuses loaded. Let's load the streaks as well. So goal 1 repo.preload streak streaks, and Ecto knows what to do with it. This will greatly simplify the rest of the app, and it'll make it so that the streak never really gets out of sync. Now, let's go to the context module, and there we are, core, and then add that. Now you know what? These are probably, yeah, this was unneeded. I'm just going to delete all of that, and we'll alias streaks right up at the top. And then we'll preload streaks there, and also here. Oops. That doesn't look right. My Vimfoo has failed me. It's going to be streaks. That's the name of the association. Okay. Now our goal listing should automatically get us what we need there. I will be using this a little bit later. We need to make some functions to calculate the length of the streak. So right now in the app, we've got a goals page, and I believe this will break as soon as I reload it. This is pulling from the goals in the database. Oh, this is, yeah, it's pulling from the goals in the database, and then it's looking at that goal.streak that I had defined earlier, that the integer that was just on the goal where we were manually keeping track of things. And now that I've commented this out, that calculation fails. So we need a way to get the current streak from a goal. That's the first priority. So we'll go back to core, and let's go down to the bottom of the document and add some logic for streaks. So first thing is probably a list streak, because we don't even have that yet. So this will be list streaks and no arguments. And then in here, just repo all streak. And do we even need to preload goals? I'm not sure if we do, actually. Might be nice to have the goal name, but I'll put that off for now. Then we'll also make one to get an individual streak. And on that, I'm gonna have a specific one. So get streak is going to take it's going to take a number just like the others. Let's see. So make that get streak. And what's the oh, we just call it ID, right? Okay. Get streak based on the ID. And then repo dot one. Let me just make this as consistent with the others as I can. Repo.get goal ID preload. Okay. So repo.get streak and this ID and preload the goal. Get streak is reset streak is undefined or private. Where we're using that in the controller. We'll deal with that later. So repo, actually no, core.get streak. So this will be the streak with ID 1. Requires to have exactly one primary key because there is no primary key. Right. This doesn't even make sense. There is no singular get streak by ID. Okay. So to get the longest streak, no, to get the current streak, actually longest is going to be useful too. But for now, we'll get the current streak. Current streak is going to be, let's see here. Well, if the streak with the latest end date ends today, that means we're currently on a streak. And it's whatever the length of that streak is. If the streak with the longest day, or the streak with the latest end day is not today, then it's going to be 0. So we'll just do, actually, how do we get the newest streak? Newest streak is going to be a little bit simpler. So that's going to take, I guess we'll give it a goal ID. And then we'll just make a query. So query is from s in streak, where s dot goal ID equals goal ID. Then we need to get the newest one. So we'll order it by s.end and limit 1 because we just want to get the very newest one. And repo dot one query s and streak goal ID, right? Because it's inside this macro. We don't have it, or we need to pin the variable so that it's interpolated. Okay, let's give that a try. Recompile and repo core dot newest streak for goal number 1. Whoa, what happened there? For goal number 1, length 1 starts and ends on the third. So that got the oldest one. Order by s.end. Order by descending. s.end. Yeah, now we got the newest one, length 4. Okay, so that's the newest streak. And I guess, the longest streak is going to be just about the same. So maybe I'll just do that right here. Longest streak would be pretty cool, like make a leaderboard or something with. So now it's going to be same thing and order by descending, but it's going to be s.length. And let's preload the goal here. I think, yeah. Let's do that. Preload goal. Yeah, that looks a little better. So now let's try the longest streak. And that works. So to get the current streak, we'll use this longest streak function and check to see if that's today or not. I'm just going to reorder this. I'm a little bit OCD about keeping everything alphabetical in a longer module like this. Let's see. So current streak is going to take a goal ID like the others. And let's see, we need to get today. So today is date.utc today. And then case of newest streak with that same goal ID. If the streak that comes back, if whatever comes back from that is the streak that has an end date of today, then we return the length of that streak. So let's capture, we'll match against a streak and we'll capture the length and the end. So end, actually end today, we're matching on that. Inside the case macro, we need to pin this. End today, length len. We'll just return that length. So whatever the newest streak was that ended today, we'll return the length. Now, if the newest streak doesn't end today, or if there is no streak and it just returns nil, then the current streak is 0. Let's give that a try. Okay, so core.current streak for goal number 1, which was working out, it's 4. Goal number 2 was 0. 3 was 0, and then 4, I believe, was 2. Yes, all right. So we're getting current streaks. The cost of this is a couple of queries, which means we probably just want to do this to get singular streaks. So queries to get a single streak from the DB. Expensive to use for a listing of goals. But we're still going to do that just because we can make sure the front end logic is okay, and then I'll write something more efficient to get it from everything. So let's go back to the index for the goals page that currently does not load because we're looking for a goal.streak. Bar length goal streak. Actually, let's look at the streak view, not the database view. Actually, this would be the goal view. So bar length just takes an integer and it uses that fancy calculation I came up with last time to get the width. So what we have is a goal with a streak preloaded into it. And we want to get we have a goal with all of its streaks loaded into it. We want to get the longest one and calculate no, we don't. We want to get the current streak length out of that goal that has a listing of all of its streaks. Right. So we're going to have to use that goal function. We're going to have to use the current streak from core. So just for temporarily, we'll alias unbreakable dot. Actually, we won't even alias it. We'll just do it the long, ugly way because we're gonna make a better way once it's working. So get current streak, and it's gonna take a goal and we use core unbreakable dot core dot current streak from that goal. And then do we need both the streak and the length? Yeah, we do. So okay, so we'll just use that current streak. So get current streak right there. Then in here, it'll be the bar length of get current streak. And we have to pass that a goal. So this is not that ergonomic yet. Pass that a goal. Let's see here. Goal. Schema not loaded. Goals. It's going to be the streak length. Current streak is returning a length though. Takes a goal ID. Okay. Okay. Yeah, and that's getting the actual streaks from the database. Cool. So, how can we make this a little bit nicer to work with? Let's change the setup a little bit. I'm going to check something in my notes. from yesterday's very late session. Okay, let's change the name of this. I'm gonna make this make bar with 0. Actually, wait a sec. Bar length is 0. So this is basically generating CSS from a length that we pass in. So I'll call that bar CSS. And then we'll make a make bar function that takes a goal and creates a bar. Make bar takes a goal, and then it gets the current streak from the goal and passes that into the bar CSS function. So take the bar and let's see, goal. And pass that into get current streak and pass that into bar CSS. So now we should be able to remove all of this junk, replace it with make bar from the goal, and get current streak from the goal stays the same. Okay, so all looks the same. Let me just update a status here for fun. So we'll say that I did get out of bed. Status is change status is undefined or private. What? I haven't even touched that code. That doesn't make much sense. Change status. Change goal is there. Did I think I just accidentally deleted it. As far as I can tell, that must be when I was copying in some other stuff. So let's just create it from this one. Status. Status. Status, and make that capital. Status. Okay. So our new status is for goal number 2. And yes, we have completed it. Increment streak. All right. Increment streak. Status controller. So this is replaced by the new code. So we don't even need to check that. We don't need that, that, or that. Okay. Increment streak should not be there. Where do we have an increment streak? Oh, we've got it in update, just like we did in create. So give that one more try. There we go. And we'll go back to the goal index. And 2 liters of water was completed successfully. So all of this looks okay. However, this, as I said, it's a little bit expensive to do all of these queries. Let's just count the queries involved when we load the goals page. So load that. That's for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 goals, or 4 goals. And we're making 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is a ton of queries. I don't. So it's like 14 or something. $19 queries. Goals, streaks, statuses. Yeah. So the reason that's so expensive, as I warned it would be, is because when we make that goal index page, we are getting all of the goals from the database. The first query is on the goals, and that's as it should be. But actually, goal controller. Yeah, we get all the goals. And then in this index page, we've got a for that's looping over all the goals. And then for every single goal, we're making a bar and we're getting the current streak. And where is our goal view? There we are. And make bar calls get current streak, and get current streak calls get current streak. So each of these goals is making 2 calls to this context function, which itself is doing a query. So what we need to do is, let's see, we're loading all of the statuses into the goals when we get the listing of goals, or we're loading all the streaks, I should say. And they're not in order. If we load the streaks ordered by how recent they are, then instead of making another query, we can just look at the streak that's already there in the list of streaks when we query for the goals. So let's expand this. So we're going to preload statuses as before. But instead of this kind of naive preload on the streaks, we're going to make it from s in streak. I think I've got some similar code like this already written. I do for Alchemist Camp. So streaks from s in streak order by s.end. From s in streak order by end. What's wrong here? Parentheses are required. Okay. Streak. I believe I can just do this order by, pass it end. Nope. Syntax error before this. From s in streak order by sending. Oh, this one should be a parenthesis. From s in streak order by end. Then this goes with that. Okay. Order by end. Okay, let's try loading up goal number 1, which has those 2 streaks. It's got the one that's a single day on the 3rd, and then the 4-day one that ends today. For list goals. So goals equals core.list goals, and then HD, so goal 1 equals the head of that list. And let's just look at the streaks. Oh, the first, wait a sec. g1.id was 2. Right. Because they're ordered just by the streak end, right? That's so I want the order by. No, that's fine. I'm ordering the streaks. So it's just the goals themselves don't have an order by. So just add that here. Order by ID. But yeah, I may have to go before the preload. Nope. That's going to be a major pain. Okay. Now our goals should all be in order. So let's just check the IDs of them only. enum.map 1.id 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. So goal 1 is now the head of that list. And goal 1.streaks is all of the streaks in reverse order. Should be order by descending values of the end date. Did I get that right? Core list goals. Goal 1 is head of goals. Yes, looks like we do have the right order. So if we know that the goals streaks are ordered from newest to oldest, then we can do a much cheaper query inside the goal view. Instead of calling out to this context function, in order to get the current streak of a goal, all we have to do is get the most recent status, the most recent streak, and test against that. So today is going to be UTC dot, it's going to be date.utc today. Then case of the head of goal.streaks do. Oh, if there is no streak at all, that's another issue. If there's no streak, it can't get the head of the list. So we're going to have two versions of this. If the, let's see, get current streak. So if the goal has, let's see, if the goal has an empty list of streaks in it, then we just return 0. So goal streaks empty list 0. Okay. If so, our goal streak. So if our top of our list of streaks in the goal is today, then we'll return its length, just like we did before. So we'll match streak and today length when return that length. If there are no or if there Yeah, if the most recent streak ends anytime other than today, we return 0. If there is no streak, we return 1. What's wrong here? Goal is undefined. Okay. Alias, I'm going to need goal and streak. So alias unbreakable dot core dot goal and streak, so you can access those structs. I think this will work, and it will be fewer queries. Let's clear IEX and reload. Yeah, now we have 1. That query was to list all the goals. Then 2 for preloading the streaks, and 3 for preloading the statuses, and that's it. I would call that a win. We now have a setup so that every single streak is automatically calculated based on the status updates. So we'd never have to worry about incrementing them or decrementing them. There's just a database view that's there and makes that information available. And it's very easy for us to get the current streak or the longest streak of any progress on any goal. So I'm going to call this a win and stop here. So thank you so much for everybody who's watched, and I'll see you next time.